by the Rumi quotation, not brother that grows flowers for drink. What the top chasers do, they live for emotional drama. And I can remember one story that Sisters mentioned to us about the wife that's always very abusive to the husband.
Thank you.
Very abusive every time. And the one day the husband got up to the point that the husband had sensor. I'm not sure I got the other one yet.
Yes. All right. Thank you very much, Coach Bankole. Barakallahu Fik. Yes, we were talking about the librarian and the censor. Sorry for that break. There was a change in YouTube link that we just resent now for those who are seeing us live there. Please forgive us for that. So the librarian versus censors. I was talking about the librarian who cherishes whatever is written there. They know that some lines are underlined in joy, some others are scribbled in anger, but they know that they are all part of a narrative that they are honored to read. You know, a librarian will hold a novel and he will read whatever is inside. Every part of it is part of the story as far as it's concerned. As for the censor, they blacken out the passages they don't like. They be like, okay, this shouldn't be there. They redact flaws instead of understanding them. They want an abridged version of love. This is their problem. They don't want the details. They don't want these long stories. They don't want the downside and the upside. They don't want the good side and the bad side. They just want something to be abridged. They want the summary. They don't want to read. And can you get an abridged version of love? Is it possible to abridge love? They want something that is neat, sanitized, and missing half the plot. As for the librarian, he knows that every part of the story makes sense eventually. But the censor is only looking for the nice part of it to read. Take, for instance, in some relationships, you will see that there is a particular spouse that you are only valuable to him or her when you are well and healthy. The day you fall sick like this, they don't know you. They want to skip that part of it, as if that falling sick part of it is not part of marriage. You understand now? They want to only see the pleasant part, the part where you are happy, and then the wife want to see only the part where the husband is not broke, where he has the money to spread around. The day there's no money to spread around like this, then it becomes what? It becomes a useless man. It is then she will tell everybody how unreasonable, how irresponsible the husband is. That is the viewpoint of the librarian and the censor. Let me quickly add a few more for you to get this in very well. And I pray I'm not going to be boring to you. We have the astronomer versus the prison guard. The astronomer looks at their partner and they see a constellation. They see mysterious, luminous, and vast constellations ahead. Please help us about the person that needs to be muted. Aha. So they are content to marvel from a distance. They know that some stars burn brighter in patience than in pursuit. They find beauty in the unexplored. In other words, these partners, these astronomers, they see their partner as a star that is shining, a star that is flickering, a star that they wish will remain in the sky forever. They cherish the star. They look at the star with awe, with respect, and they appreciate the luminous, shining quality of that star. As for the prison guard, they demand constant surveillance. They be like, where are you going? Who are you becoming? Who are you talking to? Why do you want to get the job? Why do you want to go to that place? Why do you want to get another degree? They are kind of surveillance at all time. They tally comings and goings like a warden. They forget that love is a sky, not a cell. And it is said that if you love a bird, you don't keep that bird in a cage. You allow the bird to live in the tree. so that the bird can fly away if it wants to fly, and so that the bird can stay if it wants to stay. If the tree is good and there's provision for the bird, and the tree gives comfort to the bird will stay, and it will even build its nest and lay its egg and hatch the chicks, and the little birds will be raised comfortably in the tree. If you love a bird and you really love that bird, don't keep the bird in a cage. And that is the difference in the way people look at the marriage, how one spouse looks at the other. A particular spouse may look at the marriage as a prison where you must stay there. You can't talk, you can't eat, you can't sleep, you can't wake, you can't open your eyes, you can't close your eyes, you can't open your mouth, you can't open your ears. And you can't stand and you can't sit. And you can't go, you can't come, and you can't grow and you can't shine, except and unless they permit you to breathe. You are expected to be dead. And for some other couples, they look at it as, you are free to become who you want to become, because like astronomers, they are already seeing you like a star. You know what I mean? You are, Allahu Akbar. They already see you and they treat you like a superstar. Allahu Akbar. Let me mention this one, the chef and the food critic. You see, the chef approaches love like a shared kitchen. They experiment with food items and ingredients. They taste the items and the ingredients. They laugh when the sauce curdles. They are very happy when the soup tastes nice. If it doesn't taste very nice, they know what they add. They know even burnt offerings can be sweet if it is seasoned with grace. Allahu Akbar. That is a couple that looks at a marriage and he happens to be like a chef. He sees you as a delicious meal that is being prepared. He sees everything as experimentation. Okay, why don't we add this one to this one? Let's add a little more salt. Let's add a little more pepper. Let's add a little more spice. This is how they spice up your life. You don't even have to do anything, but they are there with you to ensure whatever good thing you are cooking for your life, they ensure that it comes out nice and delicious. This is when you are lucky that your spouse is like a chef. But what of the food critic? The critic only points out what is oversalted or undercooked. They don't talk when the food is sweet. They don't talk when the meal is nice. They don't comment and commend when the food is in order. All they are looking for is whether it is salty or whether it is undercooked or whether it is peppery. That's the only thing they look for. They dine not to savour, but to judge. And they wonder why their partner stops cooking for them altogether, when everything the partner says or does is either wrong or not well put together or not well said or anyhow, because they are critics. They don't say anything good in what you are cooking. In fact, they look at you as a spoiled food, as a spoiled meal. And they will now be like, start choosing and dieting over you. Subhanallah. Whenever you do something that is nice, they rubbish it. And whenever you make any mistake, they pounce on it and they fling it away. And they tell you, you are no good for nothing. May Allah save those who are going through this kind of marriage where their spouses are like the food critics who don't want to see anything good in their spouses. Let me mention this one that all of you are still going to enjoy. The Islamiyah teacher versus the competition judge. This is another viewpoint through which people look into their marriages. You see, the Islamiyah teacher that is teaching how to read the Quran, he listens for the harmony beneath the noise. A sharp pronunciation of a harf or a letter or a word is just a discordant tajweed in a larger qira'ah. Silence, or that's waqfu, according to him, is a rest, not the end of the recitation. They adjust their students' tajweed to keep the qira'ah alive. That is when you are lucky to have a marriage where your spouse is like an Islamiyah teacher. This teacher appreciates your struggle to recite. Whenever you make mistake in pronunciation, they correct you lovingly. They even use some nice voices to correct what you are reciting. They recite so that you can recite. They read so that you can read. They correct you so that you can be corrected. They don't judge you. They don't condemn you, but they read for you. And even when your tajweed is not strong enough, they still encourage you to be doing tilawa. You do muraja'ah, and then you do tasmiri. That is, you read and they listen to you. You read and they listen to you. If you are wrong, they correct you. If you are right, they read along with you. If they see that your voice is not sharp enough, they notice that it's possible something is wrong with you. And they want to say, drink some water. They want to say, have a cup of tea. They want to say, relax. Let your voice be down. Make a stop for now. Then we'll read more later. This is when you are lucky to have a relationship where your spouse is like an Islamia teacher to you. Compare that to when your spouse is like the competition judge. Subhanallah. The Musabaka judge. He only hears the mistakes. They wince at every off-key pronunciation. They are deaf to the tone or the style of the Qari that is still reciting. They ignore the efforts and the improvements of the learning reciter. If they would just lean in closer and listen and appreciate the struggle of that reciter, life would have been better. But they are not ready to give you any chance. They judge you and then they score you low and they tell you have not done anything. May Allah have mercy on those whose marriages are like that of Musabaka competition. They judge you and they score you low. And even if you like, recite better, it is still not good enough as far as they are concerned. They see somebody else that is better than you. This is the problem now. No matter how well you recite in a competition, now they now place you on a competition with other people, with other husbands or with other wives. They compare your behavior, your recitation with that of other people. They compare your life with that of other people because they are always competition judges. They are Musabaka judge. They say, okay, that other lady behaves better than you. You are not a good wife because that one is better. Or you are not a good husband because that other man is better. Don't you see how those other men are reciting? You are not reciting well. And as a result of that, they cut you off and they let you know how useless your efforts are. May Allah save us from that. And finally on this, we have the traveler and the postcard collector. You see, if your spouse looks at you or your spouse looks at the marriage as that of a traveler, they cherish their partners as, they have uncharted territories in their lives. And they are on a journey with their partner, and this journey shifts with surprises at every turn and every detour. They pack light, they don't carry heavy loads. They are ready for detours once in a while because the adventure is in getting lost together. They are not worried about, okay, you are going this way, I'm going this way. They go with you wherever you are going. This is when you are lucky to have a spouse that looks at marriage as a travel. We are traveling together. We can take the right turn, we can take the left turn, we can make mistakes sometimes, we correct it again. We can quarrel in the journey, we correct it again. As we are traveling in life, husband and wife, we are cherishing and experiencing the beauty of the sceneries that we see all around us. Allahu Akbar. I pray you all get spouses, and I pray your spouses will be like that traveler. They travel together, they do things together. If you want to study more, they will also enroll so that we study together. If you want to improve more, they improve with you. If you want to grow more, they grow with you. They are ready to sacrifice their own progress so that you too can grow. They are ready to go along the way with you. They go the long journey with you just because they want you to be successful in life. I hope you have this traveler as your spouse. As for the postcard collector, the collector wants a static snapshot. They be like, this is who you were when I loved you most. This is who you were when I married you, and you must remain like that for the rest of your life. You must remain the same forever. They be like, okay, 50 years ago, I'm exaggerating, 50 years ago when we married, this is how you were. You are supposed to still be like that now, or you are useless. They press love like a rose between pages. Beautiful rose, but brittle and long since drained of life. It's like when you pick a flower and you put it inside a book and then you press it together because you are a collector. At the end of it all, you don't benefit from that flower, and the flower doesn't benefit from itself. The beauty becomes brittle and it is no longer useful as a living flower again. So a collector is somebody who collects things from here and there. He's not ready to go on the journey with you. You are like a collection. You know when they say limited edition for people who have love for things that are very exotic. Now, to Allah Akbar, to that kind of spouse, you are just like a collection. That's what I'm trying to say. You are like a collection. You have been captured now, you have been taken, and then you have been kept like a collection. If tomorrow it seems that you are outdated, you will throw you away and get another one. You are not supposed to grow as far as they are concerned. The way they found you when they married you, you are supposed to freeze like that, and there should be no change in your life. You are not supposed to study more. You are not supposed to grow more. You are not supposed to become anything. Just remain like that because you are a collection as far as they are concerned. And if tomorrow they don't like that collection again, they throw it away and they go collect another one. May Allah save us from that. Now, let me begin to wind down now. You see, I'm trying to say that it's all about the choice of vision, how couples look at each other. Every metaphor we have used so far is a question. Do you see your spouse as a project or as a masterpiece? Do you see each other as a locked door or an open road? Do you see each other as a verdict or as a prayer? Do you see each other as an ATM or as a helper? Or is your spouse just a mother or a father of your child or a garment for life? And the Quran gives us the ideal model of marital perception. When the Quran says, Hunna libasul lakum wa antum libasul lahunna. They are a garment for you and you are a garment for them. This is how we should look at each other. What does the garment do? It covers, it protects, it warms, it beautifies, and it conceals our flaws. Are you your spouse's garment or their critic? Do you cover their weaknesses or you display them to the world? Do you beautify them with your love or do you expose them with your bitterness? When a couple sees each other as garments, they nurture the softness, they nurture the warmth, and they nurture the trust they have in each other. But when they see each other as adversaries, they begin to tear at the very fabric of their union. The Quran has already told us, you should be a garment to me and I should be a garment to you. I should see you as my garment and I should be to you a garment that will cover your secrets, that will protect you and that will warm you up and that will beautify your life for you. Let me now ask you again, what do you see when you look at your spouse? The eyes are not just windows, they are filters, stained glass through which we color the world. And nowhere is this truer than in love, than in marriage. You see, if you are a thief, if you are a cheat, you have this paranoia. A thief suspects every hand is reaching for their pocket. A cheat hears laughter and assumes it is at their expense. And when they look at their spouse, do you know what they see? When they look at their spouse, every late night is a secret. Every text notification is a betrayal waiting to unfold. They do not see a person, they see a reflection of their own shadows. Love to them is not a bond, but a ledger, constantly audited for discrepancies. But here's the tragedy now. Suspicion is a self-fulfilling prophecy. The tighter they clutch, the more love slips through their fingers like sand. So if you're a cheat, you may likely see your spouse like a cheat. If it is something you can do, you are likely suspecting your spouse that your spouse can do it. Men that follow women all around, any text message that comes in for their wives, they think it's another man that is chasing their wife. That's what I'm trying to say. So sometimes you see your spouse exactly the way you are, and in exactly the way you would do if the table were to be turned around. Allah Akbar. Then if you're a liar lives in funhouse mirrors. They twist words, so they assume that other people are doing the same. They lie and they think other people are liars too. When somebody says, I am fine, they think it's a coded message. When somebody hugs them, it feels like manipulation. When their spouse greets them too much, they will think they are trying to ask for favor. A compliment carries a hidden barb with it. They project their own fractures onto the one they claim to love until the relationship becomes a hall of echoes. They deny realities. And what's the irony of it all? In fearing deception, they become the deceiver, not with lies, but with the stories they speak, your actions and your inactions as something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to question you about in the day of judgment. So the next time you look at your spouse, ask yourself, am I? Please continue to be the bee, because inshallah, all you will see will be flowers and beautiful things around you. Your spouse will become the flower. Even when your spouse has thorn, your focus will be on the petal of the rose. And if you are a housefly already, please, housefly is not see places. Stop rubbing dirt on yourself. Stop spreading disease of hatred and envy and jealousy. Stop spreading malice in your marriage. Stop spreading all of those toxic things the way the housefly will spread toxins and parasites to kill their hosts. Your spouse is a host for you, and you are a host for your spouse. Let the relationship be that between the bee and the beautiful rose flower, not like that between the housewife and the dustbin. May Allah forgive us, and may Allah make it easy for us, and may Allah continue to guide us aright. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Alaikum. Wassalam. Jazakumullahu khairan.
Wa iyyakum. Shukran.
Kathiran. It got to a point that I was writing, my hands begin to become heavy.
Alhamdulillah.
To the things and the perception that Ustaz begins to give us in terms of how we should see ourselves. I said it in the beginning. The job of looking inwards is never an easy one. That is why Shaitan will always trick us to always look outside, not inside.
Allahu Akbar.
And the greatest job we all have to do is to fight our nafs. So, Ustaz said that love is not found, it is seen. And how we see our spouse, through wounds or mercy, through criticisms or compassion, determines the peace and purpose of our marriage. Every metaphor in this season is a mirror. Not on your spouse, but on your own eyes. Ustaz gave us 4 foundational concepts, which are 4 self-awareness spots. The bright spot, the dark spot, the personal spot, and the blind spot. The bright spots are the traits that are known by you and others. They are your clear strengths and weaknesses. For example, your tolerance, your weaknesses, people see. Dark spots are traits hidden by both of you, from you and others. Patterns shaped by trauma, insecurity, or destiny. They are known only by Allah or revealed through deep introspection. The blind spot, only seen by others, especially our spouses. Our level of intolerance, trying to see the beauty in others instead of focusing on their flaws.
How do you, please say it again, how do you?
How do you try to balance not overlooking the red flags that may affect the marriage, and also trying to see beauty in others instead of focusing on their flaws?
Thank you very much. I'm very happy with that question because it gives us that way of balancing up all we have been saying. It is human brain has been designed to notice faults more than it can recognize the pattern of what is right. It's natural for all of us to see what is wrong first before we see what is right. And because what is wrong may not be the norm, whenever it comes up, it kind of pops out and we quickly see it that, oh, this is actually wrong. And so sometimes to balance this up, we have to let our lenses be through that of the Sharia, that of the Quran and the Sunnah. We are not saying that you have to condone what is wrong and what is bad or pretend they don't exist just because you are trying to be positive in your outlook or in your approach to seeing things. If something is haram, it is haram. If something is unlawful, it is unlawful. If something is not legitimate, it is illegitimate. And if something is a crime, it's a crime. So take note of it. Red flags will always be red flags, even if you pretend not to see it. We're only saying that, okay, there are some faults and flaws that are human, and I should focus more on the goodness rather than the wrongdoings that are intermittent and mistakes that are once a while. That's what we are saying. But we are not saying that if there are injustice or there are cases of violence or there are instances of domestic abuse, we are not saying that you have to see it as if it's a good thing. It's not a good thing. A good thing is a good thing. A bad thing is a bad. Al halal bayyinun wal haram bayyinun. The what is halal is apparent and what is haram is openly known. So let nobody go out there deceiving themselves, condoning evil or condoning injustices and pretending as if they are not there. You don't have to suffer hurt for no reason. You don't have to endure injustice and oppression just because you are trying to see what is right. If there are red flags, they are red flags. Don't deceive yourself saying that you want to accept it like that. So you need to sharpen your eyes and begin to look at things, clean the lenses with the verses of the Quran, with what is right, and understand it as against what is wrong. That's what I want to really emphasize. When we say balancing it up, you have to balance it up. If there's red flag, please, fisabilillah, understand that there are some things that are red. Take, for instance, now, for a lady that wants to get married, this guy doesn't pray. He doesn't make salat. You can't just look away as if it doesn't matter. Salat is what makes the person to be a Muslim. So if you are interested in marrying a Muslim, salat is a precondition. Or somebody is in a is a criminal. He does some businesses that are
on a boss. You're right. He wants big things along with them.
Sorry, was that meant for us?
No, it wasn't.
Okay, thank you. Somebody does somebody does an illegal business, for instance. He's a drug peddler, or he does some things that are maybe human trafficking, or the person is doing a lot of inhumane things, criminal activities, for instance. Those are serious red flags. You don't have to look at it in another way. Accept it the way it is, that this is a crime and it's not something you can condone. Or if you are being abused in a marriage, is beating you up, is slamming the door on you, or she is threatening to kill you, don't think there's any other way of looking at it apart from the way of being on your heels. You got to run with your life sometimes. And if you see that your spouse is not looking at life the way you are looking at life, you are looking at life in a positive way, but your spouse is toxic in the way they look at life, then you may have to go marry somebody else who looks at life in a better way, in a clearer way. Astaghfirullah. So I'm not saying people should go and start divorcing here and there. What I'm saying is, if it is possible, there's one secret that the Quran gives us. The Quran says, "Wa amruhum shura bainahum." The matter of the believers is by mutual consultation. I want to suggest, regardless of the fact that you can see it clearly by yourself, I want you to suggest discussing with a learned person, a counselor that is trained, or a psychologist that understand human behaviors very well, they can help you to analyze what you're actually seeing. If they are truly red flags, or you are the one that is colorblind, they'll be able to put you through. Once you are sure of what exactly it is, then you are free to take your decisions without looking back at all. I mentioned the importance of making consultation because sometimes our judgment may be wrong. And sometimes some people have done some nasty things in the past, but they have changed. But you cannot know that they have changed unless a therapist is able to probe and see that these people are now free from the trauma that they are coming from in their lives. Some people have eaten the forbidden fruits over and over. They have even made fruit salad from the forbidden fruit. You know what I mean by that? But they are changed now. And the Quran says, Afallahu amma salaf. Allah has already overlooked the past. So if you are there like a grave digger, you are digging to their past and using that to judge their present, thinking that that is a red flag, that means you are still wrong. So in order for you to be sure, that's why I mentioned the secret the Quran gives to us, that wa amuruhum shura bainahum. The matters of the believer is by mutual consultation between them. Fas'alu ahla dhikri in kuntum la ta'lamun. Quran also says, ask those who know if you don't know. Because the best mistake you can ever make in life is for you to think that you know it all. May Allah make it easy for us to still learn more and to understand more about ourselves and about our partners. Thank you very much.
I picked two things from there that I think really resonated a lot with me.
Nah.
Especially when you mentioned that you need to know whether it is really a red flag or you are colorblind. And what is the antidote for that? Antidote for that is that sometimes, because what we focus on, like we have been saying before, what we focus on grows, and it's easier for us to start amplifying something that is not there based on what we have gotten today. So that's why we need the eyes of learned people around.
Yes.
And I have some ways to look at it. Even if you don't want to go far, you are having issues in your marriage and you're talking to your sister about it or to your mother about it, they might not be the best. Because those ones want the best for you from their own point of view, and they might not be able to see what the husband is saying. And vice versa too.
Exactly.
So if your wife is doing something for you and you are trying to see that, okay, what's going on? Try to ask somebody that you know is level-headed in your own side that will be able to tell you the truth. Then that's sometimes there, because it's sometimes very difficult to get hold of people like Dr. Bufata like this to tell us how to go. But again, around you, you know people that are sensible.
Yes.
And then guiding your life is balancing things with Sharia. So we are not talking about extreme cases of, okay, he are beating you or he's doing zina or he's we are not talking about that at all. But sometimes it can be fictions that we see, and sometimes it can be coloring those things. So the way we do it is to look for somebody that is level-headed in our part. I don't know how much time we have. I can see somebody raising a hand. Ustaz, how much time do we have left? So I can know how many questions we can take.
I'm all yours. Let's fire on.
Okay. So I think I want to give preference to this person that's raising a hand. I don't know if she's still there before we continue with the questions, inshallah. So,
I'm here. Assalamu alaikum. Yes, sir. Well done, sir.
Thank you very much.
Alhamdulillah. I have been typing it, but I really want to say it out than typing so that you start to understand what I really meant.
Okay.
Thank you, sir. Thanks very much.
Alhamdulillah.
So I joined it. I met Ustaz mentioning, in fact, I think it's about finishing the grave digging and something, grave digger and something. I missed that.
An archaeologist.
So what I heard was that you were saying maybe people that used to remind you of your past, maybe with date and maybe accurate date and time. Yeah. So did I get that?
Yes, you are correct.
What I wanted to ask is that, as a human being, some people, we do all make mistakes, but in a relationship whereby maybe your partner will continue to repeat the same thing over the years, anytime, though he or she may apologize, I'm sorry, okay, it's a mistake, or there's a mistake, I don't know, okay, it's over, I won't do that again. But, as time goes on, he or she repeated it again. You know, we got, I think you said that, you know, you promised me that you won't do it again. This is what you did last 2 weeks. This is what you have been doing for the past 3 months. Then, you know, then I 27, you begged me and you promised you won't do it again. Is that a crime, sir? That's what I wanted to know. Because sincerely, I'm the one that keep records. So I keep records because based on who I'm dealing with. You know, some people, you can say, hey, they will say it's me you said. It depends on who I'm dealing with. Me, I keep records, sir. So I wanted to know if it's bad, so that I will just cancel everything. I will just delete it in my mind and reframe myself, and you know, to wash my mind away from it, because that's why I asked. In fact, I was very happy when I met this. This is exactly what you are discussing again. I'm very, very delighted. So I wanted to know, so if it's a crime, if it's not good, so that I will just erase it, because I keep records out.
I understand. I understand. Thank you very much for that. You see, you just showed the example of a grave digger now. You know, you will not encourage somebody to grow like that when you keep referring to their past. And understand this thing very well. Some people, they are wired by virtue of the traumas they have been through in the past. You know? Can you hear me? So they are wired to be like that, and they need some therapists that will remove some of these things from their wiring. Some people, okay, let me give you an example now. Somebody who is addicted to substance abuse. There's nothing you will say to the person that the person will not go back to it, because this is a matter of addiction. And it's not only drugs that people get addicted to. People get addicted to in situations, they get addicted to circumstances, they get addicted to some characters, they get addicted to some behaviors. And some people have personality disorders that makes them to keep repeating the same thing over and over again. It is beyond their will. Some people are not able to stop this thing, so they need help. So the moment you see that the person keeps doing it over and over again, that is a sign for you to know that this person needs help of a therapist or a counselor or an expert in any of the fields that deal with human behavior and reshaping human characters. In fact, it may even be rukia that the person needs so that the person can stop. So it's not ordinary every time to just say, I told you not to do this, you did it again. In fact, sometimes referring to the past over and over again will keep renewing the wound. It's like somebody who has wound on the hand and you have bandage covering it so that it can heal. But you go there, keep opening it over and over again. It will not heal. The person will not be cured that way. So I want to appeal to you. A grave digger is always a grave digger. There's hardly anything that is so good in it. But if you're an archaeologist, you will know that this person is the treasure. You do not hate that person. It is what the person is doing wrong that you have problems with. I hope you can distinguish the two. It is the person's actions that you don't like, not the person himself. But the moment you start giving that person an impression that he is such a failure, you did this last week, you did this last month, you did this last year, then the person may find it difficult to change. The same thing with a child. If you are bringing up a child, in child upbringing, you don't become a grave digger. You focus more on the treasure in that child. You become a gardener and you nourish that child. You nurture that child back to life so that that child can grow. So my own advice is this. If you are someone who keeps score or you keep record a lot, by tomorrow, when your spouse eventually changes for better and somebody else finds out that jotter, that journal you've been writing their sins, how are you going to explain it? Will they be able to clean themselves off those things you have written down? Will anybody believe that they truly have changed for better? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself says, Afallah amma salaf. Allah has overlooked everything in the past for us. Once we repent and we change, Allah doesn't bring it off back with us. The only person that does that, my sister, is Fir'aun. You know what Fir'aun did when Musa came? Fir'aun said, this guy, you are here again. Is it not the same guy who couldn't speak very well, who couldn't explain himself, and he ran away the other time? Yeah, you have come back to meet me in the palace. Pharaoh was using that as a psychological warfare. He wanted to defeat Musa, and he kept mentioning Musa's faults to him so that Musa can be demoralized and depleted. So if you have a spouse and you want that spouse to do well, please don't dig any further. Stop digging. It hurts them. It affects them. It demoralizes them. It makes them feel as if they are failing. It makes them feel as if they are not good for anything. So please, madam, don't bring it up again. Whenever they make the mistake, acknowledge the improvement. Make your correction and let's move forward. Praise what is good in them. Focus on the good things. So long as it's not red flag, as in, committing crime and things like that. Even if somebody is committing crime, of course, you know that you have to inform the law enforcement agencies sometimes so that they can discipline that person. Person can do terms of 2 months, 3 months, or pay some fine so that the person will have some brain reset. You know what I mean? Yeah, the person will wake up. But when it comes to matters of attitudes or habits, or you done it again, I don't want you to do it again, those kind of things, even if the spouse is a womanizer, let me put it that way. Do you know some people are addicted to womanizing? Some of them, they don't want to do it again. Some of them know that the Sharia doesn't want this. Some of them know that this is hurting their families. But womanizing is a form of addiction, whether we like it or not. Because any moment they are alone, they are thinking of that. Womanizing is like somebody who masturbates. It's an addiction. So pity them, because they have something that's beyond what they can control. And we have to handle them with care because they have problems. It's a disease. I'm exaggerating it that way. Let's call it a disease. If somebody has a disease, you don't keep complaining about the disease. You go to the doctor. You consult the specialist so that they can diagnose and they can recommend. If you go to the doctor now, you say you have fever, the doctor will not believe you, even if you swear with the Quran. Wallahi, doctor, I have fever. He will say, let's go run some tests. It's after running the test that he can confirm to you that what you have is actually fever or not, or the kind of fever it is: yellow fever, blue fever, red fever, madness fever, being broke fever, poverty fever. Then the doctor can be able to tell you that this is the kind of fever that you have. In fact, sometimes the doctor will tell you don't have fever at all. Just go and rest. You have not been resting. Get it? So what I will submit is, let us not be grave digger. Let us be gardeners instead. There are two ways people plant things. People will plant a human being that is dead. They plant a corpse in the cemetery, but people plant seed in the garden. The difference between a cemetery and a garden is in what is planted in the two of them. When they plant a corpse, they don't expect the corpse to grow or to reproduce. But when they plant a seed, the seed will spend some time under the ground, but the seed will grow. We plant the seed so that the seed can grow. So in your approach to your husband, you only need to know that I've planted mango tree, or I've planted the seed for orange. You don't go back even to unearth it, to remove the seed to check whether it is growing or not. You put it back, you check, you put it back. That seed will not do well. Let it be there and watch it grow. Pour water when you should pour water. Let sunlight shine on it, and you see your seed growing. But if you treat your spouse like a corpse, you already buried them already, and you are still going there to assume them to see whether he's still breathing. You have killed him now. May Allah make it easy. Madam, I do hope you understand what I was just trying to explain. Don't do that. It kills your husband. Yes, thank you, my sister. May Allah bless you. This question you have asked, I'm sure, is not only for you. Many people do this. And that's why I spoke in that tone that, look, it's not a nice thing. Somebody is trying to change, and you are referring to, you keep the journal of the bad things the person has done. How many people will be happy to see that?
Because they do deny. That's the reason.
Because they deny they did it. Then they need help. You understand? They need psychologists. They need counseling so that their lives can change for better. This falls within the purview of what we call akhlaq. That is character and behavior. You understand what I'm saying now? Is their character, is their behavior, is their attitude. This is not a one-off thing. Something they do repeatedly is a pattern. Then you need to convince the person to speak to an imam, or to consult a counselor, so that they can look at the person's pattern and then they can advise on how the person can change. But honestly, between you and me, journaling and writing the person's evil and sin and mistakes down is not what's going to change the person. If a person can deny, it means the person knows that what they are doing is wrong. And that means the person is on the path of recovery. The person who is truly an evil person is someone who will not even deny and tell you, okay, I did it, what can you do? Do your worst. So what are you going to do? If the person says, go to hell. So if a person still has that shyness or that shame to say, me, I didn't do it, or denying it, underneath that denial is a sense of guilt. It's a sense of shame. It's a sense of, oh my God, how can I own up that I did this again? How could I do this again? You need to, that's why I say it's the expert who understand how these things work. They can see guilt and they can build on that so that the person will stop feeling guilty, but the person will own up and then begin to change. May Allah make it easy for all of those who fall into this category. Jazakallah khairan.
Doctor. Jazakallah khairan for that. Just like you have said, Doctor, the majority of us will see ourselves in different lights in these negative things. And how Allah has given us the example in the Quran, just like the example you gave of Fir'aun. It's not for us to see bad things in people. It's for us to see what are those traits that we are exhibiting in one way or the other, which is this great bigger perspective that you're giving us. In one way or the other, some of us might be showing it, might not be too paramount, but it is there. So how do we self-reflect and leverage on every tactics that Ustaz has told us here now? May Allah continue to guide all of us and make it easy for us on this Sikiadunos journey. I think we take one or two more questions because of time. Ustaz, let me take this one about polygyny. And another one is very interesting about this one. I would like us to react to if you cannot take it more. Say, Assalamu alaikum, jazakallah khairan to the organizers. Please, I'd like to ask how one can use these tips, both pre and post polygyny. Like we know, feelings are likely to change post polygyny. Thanks.
You mean how we can, the way we look at each other to put it into polygyny?
The tips of yes, the time whether we want to be gardeners or we want to be architects and all that. You know, when we do polygyny, the feelings we have towards each other, especially the wife, the husband, might change because now you have gone to do something extra. So how do you now manage those emotions that will come in for you at that time? Because as I said, like we know, feelings are likely to change post polygyny.
Yes, I understand. So
how are you going to use this to help us out?
Okay, let me mention first that you find some of the lectures on emotion. The playlist is called Emotions on YouTube. On my YouTube channel, you will find a lot of talks about polygyny, about polygamy, the emotional responses to polygamy. In fact, why some people hate polygamy, you will see all of that there. But as it is, it depends on what we understand about each other. And it also depends on what we see about each other and why we do what we do. Some men, they just see themselves as umbrellas and they think they are supposed to cast shade and shadow on everyone. Some men see themselves as big tree and as many birds as possible can come and live inside. They are comfortable with it. So if you are one of the birds that's living inside that big tree, then you have to be tolerant of other birds that want to stay there. Now, let me be very brutal about this now. It is not all about how you feel. Sharia is concerned about your emotions, but life is not all about your own feeling. In the Sharia, one of the paradigms or one of the things we learn about Sharia is that the interest of the community supersedes personal interest. That's one of the prisms of Sharia. The interest of the community supersedes personal interest. The interest of the collective is given more priority over personal interest. I don't want to say selfish interest, so that I will not have over-exaggerated it. So please, whatever reason the man has to go into polygyny, we still have to respect his own reason also. And so long as his reason is founded in Sharia, in what is upright, in what is righteous, in what is acceptable, and in relation to the justice and other conditions that Sharia has put in place, especially when it comes to equitability, then he has the right to go ahead and do that. Let us not deceive ourselves. We have the situation at hand now. Every country in the world, they are seeking ways of dealing with this matter of ladies that are stranded outside. And these ladies, they have not offended anyone. It's just life. A lady has been married for like 20 years. Her husband dies. She has children that are just growing, and she wants to remarry. And you say she can't marry your husband. Well, it depends how you see your husband. Is he your lover or your personal property that you put caveat, no entry, or nobody should come near this? Maybe some of us will even put on the, as a notice in front of our house, beware of dogs. No wife is invited here, or no extra wife is welcomed here. Some of us would do that if we could. I want us to not shun the importance of going for proper counseling before you go into polygyny as a man. You have to check your intention. Innamal a'mal binniyat. Actions are judged according to intention, not because of your desire. So that's why I'm saying that if it is to solve the problems of the ummah, so be it. If it is to solve the problem of the society, of the community, so be it. Let the other wife stop looking at the husband as a personal property that only herself will have exclusive rights to when it comes to marriage. I'm not talking about men who sleep around. Honestly, I cannot condone that. And you see some of my most recent videos about infidelity. I am vehemently against infidelity, and there's no excuse for a person to do that. But feelings change. And who says feelings will not change? It's normal now for feelings to change. The only way you can understand this very well is if you turn the table around. Let's assume you are the one that's in the shoe of the lady that's trying to come in, and somebody else says there's no space for you. How will you feel? If your husband have never died before, and if you have never been divorced before, you have no idea of what those ladies out there are going through as single mothers or as old ladies who need husbands to marry so that they can complete their own side of the iman, their own side of the faith. They don't want to sleep around. They don't want to commit zina. They don't want to be immoral. They want to be responsible, and they want to get married. These are their own intentions. But you are there talking about your feelings. It's not all about your feeling. It's about what is the right thing to be done in order to solve the problems of the society, including solving problems of other people. I don't want to overflow this issue because our topic is not on polygamy or polygyny. But I must guarantee you that emotions will change, feelings will change. Allah cares about our emotions, but it's not all about how you feel. Sometimes it's all about what is the right thing to do and how you are able to see. This is another thing, part of what we are talking about. How you are able to see ibadah in that thing that you want to do or that your husband wants to do. What can you present before Allah and say, oh Allah, I refused my husband to do this because of this and that and that. And finally, polygamy is for real men, not for boys. Polygamy is not a kid stuff. Polygamy is not a joke. It's not a play. It's not something you do with uncle to say others are doing it, I want to do it too. Polygamy is for matured minds. It's for matured people. And polygamy is an endeavor in matrimonial maturity. If you cannot do it, then just leave it for those who can do it. The men understand what I'm talking about. Thank you very much for that. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That's so much loaded. There's so much to take away from there, and it's summarized. It's hard to flip the script. And you want to see yourself in that position. It's always very difficult for a man and wife. The wife is the only person for years, and it's feeling it can flip the script like that. But it's easier when you have a sister, for example, in your has tried to subsidize this training to the minimum. Father, I remember when I said to Ustaz, I said, no. Reduce it to so amount. Things are not really happening. I said, tell your Ustaz. And it was reduced to rather make it easy for us. So, I want to appreciate. And so I've said one or two things, but because we don't have time again, next week we'll pull it more so that coaches will also talk before we start. May Allah make it easy. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. See you again next week, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you.